Hello, good evening, and a very warm welcome to Rangers Radio.
Hello, good evening and welcome to Rangers Radio. Joining myself, Rob, on tonight's show, from the heat of Spain straight to the heat of Rangers Radio, it's AK.
Good evening, Rob, the Techie team and everybody that's listening. Welcome to Rangers Radio. Yes, just back from sunny Lanzarote last night, Rob. A few days in the sunshine, so I'm back refreshed and ready to go. And then Rangers did that to me. Well, I was in the air.
Well, I was going to ask, mate, what was your feeling like on the plane, not knowing a result, and then seeing it when you came off the plane? That feeling.
Dejection. First thing I looked for in my phone when we landed in Glasgow Airport in the early hours. I managed to catch some of the game. Terry gave us a wee link, which was very good here. So I managed to see some of the game. Wasn't a great performance with what I seen, but just as we're ready for takeoff and stuff, that mob score against us, so like, oh no. And then that 20 minutes, no knowing what the final result lasted for 4 hours until I touched in Glasgow, and then I seen the result, and it's just what's going on with our club. It's a disastrous start to the season, eh?
It is, mate. It is, and we knew going into the game it was going to be a massive game, given that start. But I mean, we've got a game coming up on Sunday, which we'll discuss later in the show. Arguably, that's became an even bigger game because of last night and those performances and results of the start of the season. It's not been a great start at all by any means.
No. I think the longer it's going, and I mean, all right, we only seen them a couple of times in the pre-season games, and the game against St Etienne wasn't the best. You put that down a wee bit of rustiness and new players gelling in the squad. We also seen against West Ham 0-0. Wasn't a bad game. Thought we actually acquitted ourselves very well. So we went to Tannadice with a bit of optimism, and we came away from there dropping early points, which again is not the best start. Didn't play particularly well. United a few new players in their squad, so that the excuses were getting less and less. And even though it's early in the season and early in Derek McInnes's tenure, the alarm bells are starting to sound a wee bit when we go away to Poland and we come back with a defeat. So it was only a single goal defeat, albeit, Rob, but it was a defeat nonetheless and unexpected. The game against Hibs, I'm sitting in the Bluebells bar out in Lanzarote. If Kenny Park's listening, what a great pub that is. Any Bears that are holidaying out there, that's the place to go. He does a great job. But sitting there in dejection again, couldn't believe the decision that they gave that penalty for the VAR, and that puts us in the back foot. And again, we get sucker punched at the end of the game. And now we're putting ourselves under pressure. Nobody else, it's the team that's staying it again to the manager. The manager knows the expectations and the responsibility placed on him. So we put ourselves under pressure going into last night's game before a body even been kicked in anger. We got off to a reasonable start, getting a penalty. And for there, we're looking probably to kick on and make it a comfortable evening. And it didn't materialise that way, Rob. So it's alarm bells, which is sounding very early in the season once again.
It is, mate. It is. And we had Bob Ger joined us last night, and he said that we've seen this start last season, and we know how that ended. And Bob Ger is a man of honesty. And he's come out and made a claim that a lot of supporters may be having the same feeling, mate, that this might not be the right answer. Now, listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that people are saying they want McInnes out or they want McInnes in. Everybody's got an opinion. But the start he's had as a Rangers manager isn't great. No matter where he's a Rangers man, if it was Pep Guardiola, if this start was the same way any manager, there's a lot of pressure on the manager, the players, and the recruitment team and the owners.
It is, mate. It is, and it's a collective effort. Everything's got to be in. You know, you've got to put your shapes out there to be in line. Everybody's got to be on the same hymn page, and it seems as if I don't know if it's me reading it from afar, but it seems a bit of unrest there within the walls of Ibrox. I heard some quotations in that at a general meeting coming out from Andrew Kavanagh, Parag Marat and Jim Gillespie at that. Derek McInnes was missing at that, which I thought a wee bit strange. All right, okay, he's got the training and that today with the squad, so I can accept that. But you know yourself, the manager Rangers is the face. Rangers the face of the team, and it's a guy that we relate to more than anybody. Over the years, you know, we've had some strong characters out there facing the media, and he's a guy that speaks, and he's a guy that we either trust or we don't trust in what he's saying. And he was conspicuous for his absence, I thought, at that meeting. Maybe Derek McInnes would have told too much of the truth, too much uncertain truths that the hierarchy wouldn't want to be heard. You know, you just don't know. I'm kind of second guessing there. Obviously, I don't know that. But you would like to think that wouldn't be the case, and that they are working hard and they are cohesive and working as one behind the scenes, because at the end of the day, Derek McInnes is responsible for how the team performs on the park, how they set up, and of course the results. But if he isn't getting the tools that he's asking for, then that's where the alignment can be fractured, and that needs to get addressed. We've had 9 signings, new signings coming in now. We've spoke about turnover of players the last few years. There's been plenty of money thrown at it, but we don't look any better a team than what we did when we get rid of Clement. You know, and I remember at the time, myself, you, Southside, Albert, you know, there was a few of us saying, be careful what you wish for, because all this constant rinse and repeat, get rid of managers, new recruitment, throwing money at it, it's a setback for every single decision that we make. And if Bob Gear's calling for Derek McInnes needs to go, I'm putting that down to a knee-jerk reaction, to be honest with you. I can understand the frustration and anger. We all feel it, but it's no the way to go. We need to try and stick with somebody. But at the same time, Rob, if Derek McInnes is asking for players and he's no getting them, then we're no doing him any favours, and it's his neck that's on the line. So I can understand his anger and frustration if that is the case. So we need to sort that. But the least we should be doing, Rob, is winning these games away to Dundee, away to that Polish mob, home to Hibs. That's not the hardest run of fixtures to be putting ourselves under pressure this early in the season. And now we've got St Mirren coming to Ibrox, who are the holders of the League Cup and who'll fancy it. They'll want to defend their title that they won last year, and they'll fancy it, the position that we're in now. So it's pressure games all the time, and it's ourselves that's done it to ourselves, nobody else.
Exactly, mate. It's only down to ourselves that can go on and influence games and how they pan out, how the results end up being, and it's not been good enough. I spoke on the show last night, mate, and I know you've seen bits of the game between your flights and stuff, and caught up in some bits today. I said it last night and I'll say it again. The 3-5-2 in the first half for me looked okay. We seem to be getting in good areas, the wide players in particular. Yakota, Gassama, who I thought had one of his better games and was using his left foot more than I'd ever seen. But then they change at half time. I know McInnes has come out now and said that he felt Asgard wasn't getting involved, so he went to the 4-4-2, but I thought we completely lost our way. We lost the control. We allowed them to come back in it, and we get sucker punched. From there, we couldn't create much at all, if anything. And I don't know about you, mate, I like seeing 2 strikers on the park. I think it gives you more chance to score goals, only if you're getting the service. I don't think we've got the personnel at this moment in time to play the 4-4-2.
I like the 2 strikers as well. We've been calling it for years. Why are we going this 4-5-1, or you know, just putting the one guy up front? Of course, you only go back a few years, and that one guy up front was Alfredo Morelos, who could handle a full back line himself. And we had runners coming for the midfield and the wings who were supporting him, and we were dangerous because of that. But we don't have an Alfredo Morelos now. We've got Nadiri, we've got Shankland. Unfortunately, we don't have the services Chermiti again because his injury picked up at the weekend there. And, we've got Miofsky who, he's kicking his heels on the bench. The guy's a proven goal scorer in the Scottish League. Shankland's a proven goal scorer in the Scottish League. Why not just throw the two of them in together? You never know. They might work. But having said that, they guys need to get service. They need to be in that penalty box looking for the service as well. So there's a lot of work to be done in the team itself. She say that the 3-5-2, I put that down to more of the personnel that was available because of the injuries that we've got to our centre halves and our fullbacks and that. I think it was a kind of sensible move. We've got a load of midfielders, so why not throw a few of them in there, get control of the game. I think we looked quite comfortable, reasonably comfortable, in the first half in particular. And I thought the Japanese boy Yokota and Gassam, as they said, that they were lively. I thought Asgard was beginning to probe, put a few nice balls and touches and that he does. So that it didn't look as if it need changed. And going by a lot of the pods and that, talking on it today, obviously I didn't see it to go into detail, but they're all saying that was a massive swing momentum to give the Polish mob, to go, right, okay, we need to score at least one, and we gave away that momentum that we'd built up. Why did he do that? I don't know. Maybe you can enlighten me.
No, I couldn't, mate. I came on after the game and I said it, and I still have the same opinion and feeling now that something changed. As much as Asgard wasn't involved, he was in a space that allowed Shankland and Nadiri to kind of be more forward. It stopped the gap between the midfield and the strikers as well. It plugged that area. It gave them somebody else to focus on. Maybe he wasn't being effective with the ball, but he was still a person of a threat in the sense of his position that he was in. So to me, I felt tactically that was a wrong decision, and that falls to McInnes. But performance-wise, first half, okay. Second half, no. The second half was the performance that we have seen at Dundee United, away in Poland, and maybe the first half at Hibs, at home to Hibs. So, again, you're seeing a half of football under Rangers, and that has been something that's been ongoing for far too long. Just before we continue, mate, you've got a wee hello coming in from Ian in Lanzarote. If you want to say hello back, you've got a wee fan club out there now.
Oh, good stuff. The big man listening in. A good friend of mine, Ian Kelly. We met a couple of years ago in Lanza, and him and his good lady Pauline were out there at the same time as this year. He's big lucky buggers out there for 3 weeks at a time. So he's a real nice guy, comes to Port Glasgow area. So good you're listening in, Ian, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your holiday, pal. Great company, big man.
And of course, if anybody else out there is listening in and feels they've got something to get off their chest, come give us their thoughts on the game last night. We don't want to dwell on it too much, but more than welcome to come in and join us. Give us your take on it. How you've seen it going last night. Did it change at half time as I said it did? For me, do you agree that the 3-5-2 was because of personnel? Come give us your thoughts. The number is 0141 356 1972. Phone lines are open. Give us a call. We'll call you back and bring you into the show. AK, obviously, is a disappointment result. We crash out the Europa League and we drop into the Conference League, and that's a sucker blow. And then there was another sucker blow this morning when Kuhib Driek deal was announced as off. Rangers pulling the plug on the deal due to an injury that the player had. Now, I don't know how much you've read about it, mate, but it appears he's came with an injury. PSV were saying he was a week away from being ready, but Rangers medical staff saying it's 6 to 8 weeks.
I was listening to the Rangers review this morning when they actually announced that. Chris Jack got a text confirming that the deal was off. And I was a wee bit surprised, but when you read the reasons why, I don't have an issue with it. To be honest with you, Mick, it looks to me as if PSV were willing to, give us a crop player and gain us false information with doing so. Almost saying he was a week away, because I think you highlighted it, Rob, that he got interviewed at an airport, and he said he was hopeful he passed his medical before everything was finalised, which I think pricked the ears up a wee bit. Oh, aye, what's going on here? So if that's the case, we'll put it this way: to the support that are absolutely, gone ballistic now and saying we're getting lied to with the club and that again, would you be happy if the club forked out 7 million on a player that we wouldn't be seeing for at least 6 to 8 weeks, where we needed him right now? Because I think I know the Rangers support, and I think they would be going absolute bonkers even more, because we've fell for it. You cast your mind back to wee Yilmaz that we got and we never seen for about 3 months, and everybody was wondering why. It's like us selling Chermiti to Galatasaray now. We'll take your money, but he's only 3 months away, and then they find out the real extent of his injury. That's what PSV were trying to do to us, so I think they were being a wee bit underhand there, shall we say, and I've not got an issue with that. Obviously, it's a disappointing blow for McInnes, because he wanted that positive impact player to come into the team, but he needed him right now. He didn't need to wait him 2 months down the line. The way the results in our support's going with him, he might not have a job in 2 months here, so he needs players in right now. I don't have an issue with that, Rob.
No, I'm of the same opinion, mate. From what's been said, if he wasn't available to come in, and as you say, 6 to 8 weeks, £7 million outlay, we need somebody that's ready to go from day one, i.e. come Sunday. Now, whether he was going to be a starter or come on from the bench on Sunday, if everything was cleared up, had he signed, it's a different story. But as you say, Yilmaz, money spent on him, didn't see him for a while. 2 Romans came in January. We didn't see him for a good number of weeks as well because of an injury. But there's a lot of frustration, mate, and as we know, recruitment's been a big topic this window and for years on this show in particular. But the recruitment team, the focus is, or the question is, why go and look at somebody who is already injured?
Well, I know. No, you're right. Maybe they didn't know the extent of his injury. He certainly missed a couple of games for PSV. I think the European games that they've already played earlier on this month. He was missing for both of the games due to an injury. So they must have been made aware that he had some sort of injury, but they didn't know the extent before he could recover for that. That's the only thing that I can put down. And obviously, if PSV and the player himself has been a wee bit sleek about it and not been honest about how long he's going to be out for, then can you blame the recruitment team for continuing the talks until we get to the medical? Because you obviously can't give a player a medical right away just to see the extent of the injury, and is he telling the truth he's going to be available in a week's time or whatever? Because we've been stung like this too many times in the past, mate. So listen, we'll just need to look elsewhere. But there's still 2 and a bit weeks of the window been left open, maybe 3 weeks in fact. So, but he needs reinforcements in ASAP. And the problem with concentrating efforts on one particular player and then that deal falls through is all that work's been done on that player, and now we need to go elsewhere, which could probably result in further delays in getting the players and that they want. So it's kind of lazy recruitment as well. I can hear people. I'm not happy with the recruitment. I called it a few weeks ago with myself and Oxo on the show. Is all these players McInnes players? And the reason why I said that, Rob, is McInnes prides himself in his knowledge of Scottish football. He's worked in a lot less budgets at clubs with Aberdeen and St Johnstone, Kilmarnock and Hearts. He likes to scout players himself and see what they're like. And I'm a wee bit surprised that he's no brought in maybe more For me, he's brought in Cammy Devlin, 100%. That's his signing because he had him at Hearts and he knows his quality. Shanklin was already in the building before he was in the building, but I wouldn't be surprised if McInnes actually let Rangers know about the clause in the contract, so I can put that down to his signing. See the rest of them? No, because see if you listen to the players, they would say they would have been in contact with Rangers for a certain amount of months and all that. Well, obviously McInnes was Hearts manager at the time, so this is where the problem comes. Does McInnes trust the players that he's getting? Does McInnes trust the recruitment team? Because there's got to be a trust relationship there. You can't just thrust players onto a manager and then expect them to go out there and get results. That's the way the American sports teams do it. Your basketball, your American football, baseball. It's the general manager they treat as the top guy, whereas the manager's just there to coach the team. Derek McInnes is Rangers manager. It's totally different in our country and our club. The manager needs to be the man to say, I want to go and get him. I need him in my team. And if he's not getting that sort of say-so, Rob, then there's got to be a lot of honest conversations between him, the board, the management and the recruitment team. They must be on the same page, or else this is going to be a write-off for a season.
When I was on line on the social medias this morning, mate, when the news came out, I was surprised to learn, and this came from a guy who's in Turkey. He's a journalist out in Turkey, but he's been very consistent with his stories and transfer news, quite a reliable source. He actually reported that this was the fifth signing from a PSV to another club that a player has gone for medical and not went through. I thought that was quite interesting, but you're right in what you say, mate. There is a lot of questions. One thing we know is if we were going to pay 7 million for him, there's 7 million at least to go and get another player for that left wing. If it becomes a loan deal, then that's only going to cause more frustration from the fan base towards the recruitment team. If you've got that money set for a guy, everything's about to be done, why not go and use it elsewhere? If we get a left winger in on loan, I don't think it's going to go down too well.
Oh, you're right in what you're saying there, Rob. I'm actually surprised a wee bit of some of the movement that's went out the building as well, because Raskin has been, a lot of doubt over Raskin's future, but all of a sudden he's become a mainstay back in the team again. Every time he plays for our club now, Rob, is a £20 million risk. We've seen it with Chermiti there at the weekend. Galatasaray came in there with a £22 million bid, and then he's got an injury, he's out for the season. So that's wasted money now. And every single time that Raskin plays, that is the risk that we have. But McInnes will be looking at his squad. Well, I'll put it to you this way in the callers, and come in with your points of view if you disagree. How would you feel if you're a new signing, say Dragojevic that didn't play last night? He's brought in with the talks and everything, 20-year-old Serbian, captain of Partizan Belgrade, really promising future. McInnes is telling him, you're going to be my mainstay in that middle of the park because we're expecting others to leave. He finds himself in the bench last night looking on because the player that's meant to leave is still playing, still there. How's that young boy meant to feel? Where he could have had options to go elsewhere and be getting game time or even stayed at Partizan Belgrade. That doesn't look good on us as a club. It doesn't look good on the trust relationship between McInnes and him. And it certainly doesn't look on good on, like, say, Raskin, who we're trying to punt. There's a lot of mixed messages going about there between player relationship, club to manager, which isn't good, and the trust issues on the team. If you're manager and you're putting players out there to do a specific job, they're like, well, how can I trust them? How can I trust that player? How can I trust the manager? All these things are culminating in the sort of performances we're seeing now.
You make a good point, mate. Dragojevic came on near the end of the game last night and got a yellow card for his protest on a refereeing decision, which I actually forgot to mention last night. Nadiri was clean through on goal, was pulled down by Kobayashi, former Celtic player, of course, who was already on a yellow card for the handball from the penalty. And it didn't get awarded in Rangers' favour. He gives the foul and Dragovijevic protests and gets a yellow card for his efforts, as does McInnes as well, because he felt it was a decision in Rangers' favour. But you're right, there is, when you bring a player in and you've sold them, you've had conversations, you've sold them the picture of you're going to be a midfielder that's a refresh in this squad. The people out there will say that they would still play Raskin because they still believe that he's one of the better midfielders, if not the better midfielder at the club. And that's fine. I think Raskin has shown he's got a level above some of the players we've got in midfield. But I've also questioned at times his attitude on the pitch, off the pitch. And if you're building a team to go forward, and particularly in midfield, you've brought these guys in to play the same position. You've obviously come in to get them with the impression that you're going to move Raskin on. Now, whether there's been bids in or offers in, who knows? Always speculation. Maybe now we've dropped into Conference League. Raskin says he wants to go, wants to try a new challenge. No issue with that. If it's best for both parties and we get the best deal, fine. But you're right, there's players there who look at it. Chukwueze as well, coming in January. Again, another guy who's meant to improve the midfield. Showed bits at times between January and the end of the season. Hardly features at all. Comes out the blue last week and plays in a 10 position, mate.
There's a lot of question marks here. It just looks a mess, mate, doesn't it? It just looks disjointed performances. McInnes, I don't think, knows his best team there, because what players does he trust? Does he rely on the players who have won nothing for the last couple of years? You know, your Fernandes, he's been a bomb scare for the start of the season. Sterling is he can't play 3 games a week. Raskin might be leaving. Good chance he'll be leaving. Asgard's up and down. Gisama is the same. And now we're into kind of new signings territory. What of the players does he trust to bring straight into the team, and what level of performance they've got a game? But I believe we've been enjoying my call, pal.
I certainly have, mate. Davey, good evening. How are you?
You forgot the old bit.
You shouted at me the last time for saying that. How you doing, Davey?
I'm trying to be on the happy side here, but it's very difficult at this particular moment in time. I feel I'm in a time warp and we're stuck. We've not moved on in 3 years, but anyway, I'm listening to Alec and yourself. I totally agree, and I'm watching the chat, the guys on the chat as well on the YouTube, and I was bringing up a point about the recruitment, which there's been a sort of, people are not too sure who's recruiting and who's not recruiting. But whoever it is anyway, they're making a right arse of it. But to get back to what my point was, is the thing that bamboozled me during that game, and I think it's been brought up a couple of times, is how he changed that and bringing McCrory in. And I'm not having a pop. I'm having a pop. McCrory shouldn't be at Ibrox, as far as I'm concerned. He doesn't even look the part. He wasn't there when he was there. He wasn't that great. But we're supposed to be going forward, and that's not a forward move to me, bringing him in. But changing that formation, we're one up. He takes Asgard off. Why doesn't he keep Asgard on? Give him a good 15 minutes anyway. See where we're heading. Then try and make the change. But that just puzzled me. I don't know what you think of that.
I'm the same, Davey. I said it last night, and I'll say it again tonight. I thought that change completely changed the context of the game. We lost our way. We lost control. If he took Asgard off and brought on, say, a Dragojevic and kept the formation, I'd have had no issue with it, because I thought we looked okay and comfortable enough at 3-5-2. 4-4-2, I felt we just opened right up. I'm not a big fan of 4-4-2. I like 2 strikers up the park, but the 4-4-2 for me, I'll bring AK in, still leaves gaps between the defence, the midfield, and particularly your 2 centre mids. There's a lot of work and a lot of grass to cover, and I don't think we've got the engine in that engine room. AK?
Aye, first and foremost, good evening to you all, Davey.
Aye, cheers, Al. It's good to hear you. I'm glad you enjoyed your holiday.
I had a nice wee few days in the sun there. Listen, it was disappointing, David. I don't know why he made that change. He explained that to say that Asgard wasn't as involved in the game as much as they'd like. But as Rob says there, he'd plenty of involvement for what we could see about, linking up the play and shutting down the gaps and running between the lines and that to cause them a bit of problems. And it was working. We were winning 1-0 at half time. We win the second half 1-0 and we're through. So it just, there's that old saying, Davey, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I think that maybe McInnes thought he was maybe been a wee bit too clever, so to speak. But you're bringing on Ross McCrory, who's right footed, and you're playing him at left back. So that's us got a whole back line as well that's all right fit. I think it offset the balance of the team with his changes, and it gave them a lifeline to say, hey, we can go at them. We know we can hurt them because they done it to us in Poland the week before. And it was just probably a matter of time, I think, before we conceded. And so it be the case. And then we're throwing the kitchen sink at it. Panic stations we put in big Fernandez, I think, went up front as well, for what I believe. That's going back decades stuff now, innit? Just put a big lump up front and we'll fire a ball at him. I don't know what's happening, Davey, but it looks terrible in the eye. And your eyes don't lie.
Sorry, when I was listening to what he was talking about, when he was saying, why did he? Well, he says, I felt the two wingers needed a wee bit more space up front, so they were having to come back. They're having to fall back a lot to cover. That's what they should be doing. That's what they're there for. You've got to run your guts out, and that's what's pissing me off with some of these players. They're not emptying their tank out there. And you can see it. See the goal was loose. See that goal. One cross, and there's three defenders. Fernandez, McGrory, and that other big guy. Three of them and one centre forward, and he gets above them all. That's shocking.
It's also a goal, David, that again came from our set play. We had a corner, and they broke away. And we've heard McInnes say he doesn't want teams to be able to do that. Well, that's now 4 games, and we've seen it in every game so far. We've seen it at Hibs, we saw it last week, and we saw it last night. It's not good enough.
Well.
Where do we go from here, Davey?
Yeah, can I just ask a wee how's the bridge, man?
He's okay, mate. He's okay. He's taking a well-deserved rest.
Well, if you're listening, Bridge, all the best, mate.
Here. David, where do we go from here, mate? It's got to get better, but how does it get better?
Well, I know where I go. I go to the lobby and ski up. He can't change what's there. He can only try and get it better. And to me, I used to say for a few seasons ago, I used to say to yourself and Ox and all the boys and Suicide, I'll say, we're a jigsaw puzzle. There's just 2 or 3 pieces missing. See now, we're not even a jigsaw puzzle. We're like Cluedo. That's the puzzling bit when you say, where do we go now? It's down to the players. He's got to see, well, he must see where the mistakes are. But how do you rectify that when you've got that kind of players on the park? That's a big problem, Robert. That's where we're lacking. There's just, it's quality, pure quality.
And it's not the first time, AK, we've been asking for quality. As you've said, we've touched on recruitment over a past number of seasons, and we'll come on to that in quite a while about recruitment. But quality we need. It's certainty, pace, creativity. It's all lacking.
Sure is. It sure is. I don't know what the answer is, but it's it's apparent that it's we're no as one in there. But the problem for me, Rob, is I've said for quite a while now, but see, we were making our managerial changes, right? Michael Beale was getting Gio's team, a team that got to a European final and had won the league and won the Scottish Cup, right? Then after that, we're getting who was it? Clement after that is getting Michael Beale's Dross, and he managed to win a League Cup with him. And I thought we had a wee bit of recovery with recruitment. We'd obviously to downsize our wages and what have you, but we also missed out on a lot of transfer costs in that. We're letting assets dwindle their contracts that we couldn't recycle back into the team. Then after that, you had Barry Ferguson for a point. I've seen people saying he should have been kept on as Rangers manager. Why? He had 4 wins out of 12. That's not Rangers manager material. Then after that, we decided, new owners come in. We go a different route. It's been expressed, but they decided to go for Russell Martin, which didn't sit well with anybody. We foreseen all of that happening there, and he didn't last long. Then we go with Danny Roll. We have a slight recovery again, and then towards the end of the season, we fall off a cliff again. And now we've been left with Derek McInnes, who a lot of supporters, wanted in because he'd done reasonably well with the clubs he'd been in the Scottish League, but he thought he was a safe pair of hands because of the teams that they'd built at all these provincial clubs. They were always hard to beat. They could get results. We're not seeing any of that, so that tells me there's something massively went wrong between communication between Derek McInnes, the recruitment team, the management above them, and where we're going as a strategy for the club. So the supporter have been left in the dark as usual. We're feeling angry, we're feeling frustrated, and we're wondering what the hell is going on at our club that we can't beat the likes of the teams that's been put in front of us. Because you go back to Steven Gerrard's early days, he wouldn't get beat with that team. 100% no. But that is what it is now. So it's more questions than answers, you say, Rob.
Davey, you want to come back in there, mate?
Oh, Alex covered everything there. I can't add to that much. I mean, when McInnes is doing his interviews, he's like a rabbit in the headlights to me. It just looks like a wee lost boy. But it's not easy to point the finger. That's the easiest thing to do in the world when you're playing crap. The only thing I can think of is that we've got a chance to try and sort that on Sunday. And luckily it's at Ibrox again. I'll take you think we were going to be up to the sheep. I was going to say something. I was getting a yellow card there. Hope you're not listening, Ox. But I mean, it could be a harder game. It is a harder game the way we're playing. But we've got a chance to rectify it a bit on Sunday. And hopefully, and God help us, if this goes, I'll not say braziers up, something like that, but you know what I'm talking about.
Windy cleaner up, Davey.
Oh no, I'm not bringing my windy cleaner into this. So she's away. She's on her way with a guy next door. But no, I think we've got a chance to. And the fans deserve it. And I listened to watched the game, and I think I heard a lot of remarks, and I picked up on it as well. That's one of the. I've heard Rangers been booed. I've supported Rangers for 65 years, and I've seen some duck games, duck times, but last night the booing, it just echoed what we are. And that's frustration. People just, you said, Robert, where do we go from here? Because nobody's really got an answer to that at the moment. So they've got a chance to sort it out on Sunday. And that's the way I'm optimistic. I could be pessimistic when you watch that garbage. But it's down to Sunday to me. And then upwards and onwards, as we all say.
Here, mate. It is. It's Sunday. It's the only people that can change it is the players, and that's who's got to go and take the responsibility to go and change it for ourselves as the supporters, and obviously themselves as individuals and as a team, because they're the ones that paid the big bucks. Who are fans, as you say, they deserve it more than anybody. Still with us there, Davey?
Aye. Well, was that the answer to that?
If you want, man.
No, I mean, I'm one of these old guys that I'm never really, and you can ask Suicide about that. When we go out and play golf and that, well, I try to go out and play golf. I'm never short of words or something to say or comments, but it's getting to a point now that I'm just dumbstruck. It's when I'm just looking at it and saying, am I seeing what I'm seeing here? Because it's bad. And the tactics at half time, that really has still got me thinking that. And what I was saying, I put it in the chat, I said, we're talking about the recruitment, right? And I said, well, if McInnes is responsible for the ones that are just recently came in, we're in deep shit. Excuse my French. But we're in trouble if he's brought them in. And other people are saying, no, other like Lowell, they brought them in. No Lowell, that other, what's his name?
Farewell Junior.
I was close. But they must take the can for that. I don't care. You've got to be, oh, what's the word? I can't even think of the words. I'm lost for the words here, Robert. You need to, back to you.
To me, to you. AK, you got a word?
It's like listening to Choco Brothers we used to.
Well, life's too short, Alec, to worry about anything else, mate.
Aye, I know, pal. I know it's hard, right enough. It's hard that. Listen, McInnes has said in his interview at the beginning of the week, this is 15 years he hurt. You know, every Rangers team that we've seen for the last 15 years is a byproduct of the previous manager's recruitment, and we're trying to put, you know, things together, the jigsaw pieces, as you say, David, but it just looks a mess. And until he gets that right, until he gets the players that he wants in there and the players to play under instruction, and there's a lot of work that goes on to the department. It is a simple game, but only if you do your own job right. When everybody does their job right, that's when it works. When you've got a few loose cannons out there that just think they can do what they want, and i.e. a Fernandez or a Raskin or a Asgard, because things fall apart on the park and it's plain to see. That team last night, you know, they're not the best team that we've ever seen at Ibrox, but they were organised and they wanted it. And when you've got a team like that, you've got a chance at least. We just look like a team of individuals getting thrown together and say, on you go and win that game for me. I mean, sometimes your ability will win you a lot of games, but the better the opponent you play against, it's going to come unstuck. And we've not played anybody that you would say, oh, that's a hard game. You know, done you it away. They had a full new squad on, basically. And we went up there and we couldn't beat them. We played this Polish mob twice. We couldn't beat them. And then Hibs at Ibrox. I know the referee influenced that one. But, come on, Derek McInnes is in there and he's telling you right away. And that's the message you should be giving the players. You need to win at this club. And see if you don't win, that support will make your life hell. And I want to enjoy my time at Rangers. But they're serving them out that now. So the problem is players are mercenaries now, David. They don't care. All they care about is their wage. But we care.
Yeah, I agree with you, Alec. Robert, see, we were talking about this. We keep going back to recruitment because I think recruitment, where we are at this moment in time, is a massive debate because it's been absolutely abominable. Now, can you tell me, you're saying we've signed 9 players, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, can you name the ones that McInnes has signed? Now, people are coming on the chat and saying, no, he's not signing them. It's a recruitment that days. And somebody saying, no, it's not him, it's McInnes. Can you clarify that? Who he signed?
Well, to be honest with you, mate, but just again, as AK said, from hearing the players' interviews when they speak about, they always get asked the question, when did you first hear of Rangers' interest? And it's always been months ago. Now, whether that's been before January, Dan Neil said he was meant to come in January, but there was an issue that he couldn't join. So that one was teed up for me already in January, well before McInnes. Other ones that have spoken have been for a while and some time, is quotes that they've used. The only one that I see is a Derek McInnes targeted signing that he's went and got is Cammy Devlin. I agree with AK. I don't think that these players, as much as McInnes signs them off as a final say, because he's the manager, that's the way it was put to us. It is his press conference when it get revealed that he's got the final say as a manager rather than a head coach that we saw as under Martin and Danny Rule.
Yeah.
But to me, mate, if I'm being honest, I'm not convinced that Derek McInnes has got as full as a control as he should have. Now, whether that's true or not, I can't say any different, but that's my honest opinion, Davey.
Aye, yeah, you're spot on. You're spot on there, Robert. I was listening to Graham Souness, and I picked up on a part of the conversation. They were talking about who should be doing this and who shouldn't do the other things. And he was asked about the recruitment side of it. He says, do you need football people in that department? And I don't know the background of these people that are there at the moment, but I'm assuming they haven't got any kind of football background, because if they did, they wouldn't be bringing in that garbage.
Well, David, I can tell you, we've done some research here on the show because, as you say, recruitment has been a massive topic of late, particularly this window, but for a number of years, mate, if I'm being honest. And the guys that are in charge at the minute, you've got Dan Purdy, who's a technical director. He's aged 32. His previous jobs included a match analyst, a scout, and a chief scout. You've then got Robbie Thelwell, head of recruitment, aged 27. Previous jobs, scout and loan manager. You've got Fraser Murray, aged 31, an analyst and a youth coach. You've got Nathan Fisher, 37, a youth manager and a scout.
Oh.
You've obviously got Stig as well, the performance director. He's the only one that's had any professional football experience as a player. The rest have all been put in youth systems or analytics or scouts at other clubs. Wolves, Everton, Norwich, to name a few. They've all been there. But they're very, very young. Now, I'm not saying that that age means you can't do the job, but what I'm looking at it from my own view, Davey, and I'll get AK to come in as well and your own thoughts, they are not football people, as Graham Souness has said. They don't have the football wherewithal for Rangers, in my opinion.
Can I answer to that, Robert?
Of course you can.
You told me that we've got Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs in there.
That's what I'm looking at, mate, aye.
Because the way you Marvis, it was great the way you explained that. Because I tell you, it's not gave me any enthusiasm to think we're going in the right direction with that mob. I hate to be critical of them, but what you presented there and explained what they do, nah, not for me, mate.
AK?
That was a great way Davey explained that there. Yeah, I'll tell you something, Davey, that there's a few in there that'll be sad. There might even be some that's bashful. There'll be nobody that's happy, and we've got a few dopies in there and all. But aye, that's alarming, Rob. So as soon as hit it in the nail in the head a couple of weeks ago, and he repeated it, and he intentionally repeated it 3 times to underline his point. You need football people making football decisions, and we don't have them. And that's the alarming thing for me. If you're Andrew Kavanagh and you've ploughed all the millions into your club already to buy the club, to buy the shares, to put yourself up there for the scrutiny and the criticism. And what's your recruitment came in the last year and a bit? We've been through 3 managers, over 50 million, 60 million approaching, possibly the wages that come with it as well. All of a sudden, you're talking some hefty dough that he's already flopped out, and he's going to put faith in the guys to continue with the recruitment. As I said, I don't know if you heard it earlier, Davey, the American idea of sports franchise, like American football, obviously is their background with the 49ers and stuff, but it's the same thing with baseball and basketball and things like that. General manager is the main man at all these clubs, all these, corporates and all that. They treat the coach, the manager, as just the coach. You give him the players and he'll coach a team out there to hopefully win for you. Although American is different because there's no promotion, there's no relegation. It's just everybody's happy making a coin. We want to be winning trophies, and you can't treat your manager like a coach. He needs to be the guy that's in charge because he's the fall guy if things go wrong, as we've seen already. And that history must tell them that. Why have we been through so many managers? Why have we been through so many owners, directors, CEOs, players turnover in the last 5 years? But Rob has done outstanding statistics on. There's something badly wrong there, and it needs to get identified and quickly.
Aye, cheers, mate. A wee bit of appraisal, I'll take that. But aye, David, just as I said there, and they guys have got very little experience, but as you know, it's an issue that stemmed well before these guys came in as well. And as AK said, I've done a bit of digging in terms of the recruitment since season 21-22, simply because it's been a topic really since then, because the year before we obviously won the league, but from there we never kicked on. We had the highs of going to Seville. Again, we never kicked on. We never sold players at their peak to reinvest in the squad and go again. But Dave, if I was to ask you, how many players do you think we have signed in the last 5 years, including this window? Sorry, we'll go since season 21-22 to the present day. Many players do you think we have signed?
I was never good at arithmetic at school, Robert.
Have a punt at it. You might not be far off.
I failed my quality. All the young ones will know that. That means you go to num school when you're 14, well, you're 11. No, I would probably be exaggerating and say 30.
Double it. 67
What?
players purchased. 67 players brought in since season 21-22. 47 of those have been a permanent buy, 18 straight loans, and 2 loans that became permanent, and that was Cortez and Diamondi, who's since left.
That tells you everything, doesn't it, Robert? Tells you everything. But this is where they've got to sort it. They've got a chance now to see if they can. If we can see where we think we can see it. If people agree, well, I think a lot of people agree. A lot of people disagree with me. But if you can see that as the problem, you've got to sort it. As Alex says, if it's working, don't touch it. But we aren't working, so you've got to get in there and get the mechanics right. And if that's where the problem is stemming from, you've got to eradicate it. You've got to take it out and throw it out. Until that happens, we're going nowhere.
I think we've also been joined by Smurf. I'll get my wee second. I think he's just well with me. AK, you there still? Just until Smurf gets in sorted.
Aye, no worries. It's an alarming figure. Was it 67? You said, and by the way, you're talking before that. Was Gerrard's era, and I think he brought in approaching 50. I think between 40 and 50 players. So there you go. Over the last 8-9 years, we brought in over 100 players, signed over 100 players, and they wonder why we're a mess.
Indeed, I think Smurf's with us now. You there, Smurf?
I do apologise, troops. I I had to run downstairs because my phone's synced to my watch.
What's on your mind, pal?
No bad, Albert. How's you, pal?
It's no Albert, it's all Davy.
Oh, is it Old Davy? Oh, so it is. Oh, no.
Can you not tell them my lovely tones?
No, your dulcet tones didn't come across. No, but...
Good to hear you, son.
Aye, no bad. So, I just listen to what you're saying there. It just blows my mind that there's guys like Stephen Davis and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
Guys that should be in and around the club. Rangers men, football guys. Back in the day, you would listen to players that were coming through, Ian Durrant's and your Derek Ferguson's, you know, talking about former players, coaching them at the Albion and stuff like that, and just seasoned pros that played at an extremely high level. And there's nothing like that, you know. You all these guys are mentioning, none of them played football, at any kind of level. How can you be an analyst involved in recruitment or whatever at 27? Should you know about the peak of your career?
Exactly.
Should you know about the peak of your career? How can you bring in? And I thought to myself, I'm contradicting myself a wee bit, so I'm a wee bit hypocritical here. I thought initially maybe he's went away doing and developed Robbie McCrory and Kimona Turn playing in the Championship or whatever. He's not any better than he was when he was at Aberdeen. I think a lot of that Championship, the value of the league in terms of finance, gives a false impression of it. I don't think it's got the quality that people think it's got. He was doing well for years doing it at Bristol. It's a big club. But in all honesty, we went out and paid, what was it, $1.5 million for that boy. And he's no better than Leon King, who was there and just left for a free. Really isn't he? In fact, he's older than him. See, they got married to Leon King. There's so many things that are wrong, and I don't know a way forward. But what I do know is, see when you've got a disjointed squad, and you've got players that you're playing out of necessity, aka Fernandes, for instance, and you've got a team that are come through a pre-season, and this is when you're going to get wee niggling injuries and all that, when you've not got the strength and depth that you need, and you go to a 4-4-2, when you're going to lose the midfield battle, and you're pulling a guy out of midfield, and I get his explanation, but unfortunately, Derek, that's what you're paid to do: get the decisions right, and you go to rank, and we get turned there. I was reading the day; it's the worst start for a new Rangers manager in history.
And we thought we seen that last season.
Exactly. So he needs to be careful, because I get that maybe he's not got complete ownership of recruitment, but he does pick a team, he does set the team up, and he does coach them. They don't look, and he does train them. They don't look fit. They don't look coached. They're after confidence. A team of strangers that's just met each other for the first time, and he doesn't look like he's got any playing style, you know. But you know what you're going to get with Derek McInnes. He's a steady Eddie 4-4-2 man, and you might get, if you've got additional quality, you've been up a level with quality, you might get results once they're up and running, the bodies in that they need, playing 4-4-2 domestically. You're not going to get away with that in Europe. No way. Absolutely no way. Anyway, that was my point.
You're right, mate. You're right. And I'll take your point around the panel when we come back from the tune. And there's a bit more information that's I've found. And again, the information's out there. I'm not sitting here giving you stuff that you don't know or isn't there. There's more to reveal as well. So we'll talk about that after the tune that Fox has got for us tonight.
Sure I am an old Ulster Orangemen, from Erin's Isle I came to see my British brethren of honour and of fame, and to tell them of my forefathers who fought in days of yore, that I might have the right to wear the sash my father wore. It is old, but it is beautiful, and its colours, they are fine. It was worn at Derry, Aughrim, Enniskillen, and the Boyne. My father wore it as a youth in bygone days of yore, and on the 12th I love to wear the sash my father wore. For those brave men who crossed the Boyne have not fought or died in vain. Our unity, religion and laws and freedom to maintain. If the call should come, we'll follow the drum and cross that river once more, so that tomorrow's Ulster man may wear the sash my father wore. It is old, but it is beautiful, and its colours, they are fine. It was worn at Derry, Aughrim, Enniskillen, and the Boyne. My father wore it as a youth in bygone days of yore, and on the 12th I love to wear the sash my father wore. And when someday across the sea to Antrim shore you come, we'll welcome you in royal style to the sound of flute and drum. And Ulster's hills shall echo still from Rothlin to Dromore, as we sing again the loyal strain of the sash my father wore. It is old, but it is beautiful, and its colours, they are fine. It was worn at Derry, Aughrim, Enniskillen, and the Boyne. My father wore it as a youth in bygone days of yore, and on the 12th I love to wear the sash my father wore.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972? It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Thanks for that again, Fox. A nice wee tune there. Hopefully that cheers some people up that's listening in.
Yes,
Smurf,
Robert, great tune, folks. Sorry for cutting in there. They better put all the puddle drinkers into mute when that tune came on, eh?
The views might have been doing slightly, David. You never know. Smurf,
Hello?
I'll take your point. Oh, evening, Kyle. How you doing, pal?
I'm alright, guys. How you all doing?
Not too bad, pal. What's on your mind? Thanks for phoning.
Oh, I don't know what. Oh, good question, mate. I agree with you. What you guys are saying about recruitment, it's just absolutely appalling. And I've been saying that for the last 4 years. And it's getting worse and worse, and it's making us worse every year. It's like Groundhog Day every year. And the thing is, what sums it up is I'm actually worried about us against St Mirren. I think that says it all.
I don't think you'll be alone in that, Kyle, that suddenly we don't feel confident again a game against St Mirren at home, and you don't even feel as favourites. I don't think you'll be alone in that sentiment, mate.
Yeah, they've had a good start as well, which is worrying. And I do like Derek. I think he's a good manager, but I actually have this fear that the job is too big for him. And if this recruitment team keeps getting away with this mess, he's not going to succeed. No chance. I mean, I do want us to give him time, because I'm sick and tired of this mega round of managers every year. It's just, honestly, it's like Groundhog Day. But if we keep going this direction, we'll just set him up to fail, just like we did with Gio and just like we did with Clement. It's just the same old same.
No, I think you're right there, mate. I'll go to AK. AK, do you want to touch on Kyle's point there, and of course Smurfs just before the tune as well?
Aye, sure. Good evening. Welcome to the show, Kyle. Listen, I think we're all concerned about what's happening now and what's the games that's in front of us, because you know yourself, it's not the greatest level, Scottish football, but there's a lot of attitude and application. You've got to be spot on. You've got to win your individual battles, and if you make a mistake, well, don't let the crowd get on top of you. Heard Barry Ferguson today, puff the chest out, ask for the ball again.
Absolutely,
that shows a lot of character. And that's what you need to be a Rangers player to survive. And there's a lot of new signings that's come in there and realising. Who was it? Somebody said the other day, I think it was McCann, that he was actually surprised at the intensity and the expectation level that was placed upon him.
Oh, goodness me.
That rings alarm bells for me.
All, mate.
I don't know about
yourself.
That's
awful.
You know, because, basically what that says for me is Derek McInnes hasn't spoke to that guy. Because that would have been the first thing that Derek McInnes would have said to him. Listen, our club is demanding. It says, if you're successful there and we're winning, you'll love it. But you need to realise you need to hit the ground running. That, again, alarm bells. You know, they send the wrong message to the player. But it's a collective thing. Everybody's got to get the gear. They've got to feel it. They've got to want it. And they've got to stick together. See if they're fractured, we'll go nowhere. And we currently look like a fractured team.
Oh yeah, but the culture of the club is rotten from top to bottom. It's been like that for the last 4 years. I mean, I've always said, ever since after Europa League final that we lost on penalties to Frankfurt, we didn't replace any of the top players that we lost, like Bassi and Aribo, and I still think to this day we never replaced them. And all the other players like Goldson and Kamara and Kent, players like that. I mean, yes, they fell off on the cliff in the end, but come on, like before Gio's brain fell apart, they were our best players, and we never replaced them. None. And they were leaders as well. Helander, another one. There was leadership in that team that got us to Europa League final. There's zero leaders and zero spine in that team now. And I said, for me, I mean, I always, like, before this season and last season, I've always said Paul Le Guen was the worst Rangers manager I've ever seen in my lifetime. Well, I'll tell you something right now. The last season and this season tops that. And that's how bad it's been. It's just, honestly, I just cannot. And the amount of money we spent as well, there's been zero improvement in that team since we spent that money. Zero. I just don't see it. And it's awful. I mean, I try to be positive. I really do. I always try to be positive. I mean, I've been supporting this club for 50 years, mate, and this is the worst state I've ever seen us in. With the banter years aside, it's the worst I've ever seen. And we've got international footballers that are just not putting the effort in, and that's what hurts the most. When you see players like Raskin not putting his heart and soul into the club anymore, and it's like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? It's just, I just can't accept players going on that pitch, especially at home, not putting the effort in, not defending properly. The midfield, we've got far too many midfielders for a start, and don't get me started in the fullback positions. The fullback positions have been limited since last year, and we still haven't addressed it. It's just amateur stuff. It's like tin pot club mentality. You know what I mean? It's just, I just don't understand it. And when you got legends and icons like Graham Souness and Al McCoist and Barry Ferguson and Derek Ferguson all saying the recruitment is wrong, and it is. They're 100% spot on. It's rotten from top to bottom, and it's like a Groundhog Day every year. Eh? It's unacceptable. And I know there's a lot of negativity around, but I'm sorry, but it's justified. It's absolutely justified, because what's going on at our football club is not acceptable, and it's disgusting. Sorry, I had to rant there.
No, you're fine, mate. Get it off your chest. That's what we're here to do. Get it off your chest. We've done it. It's now the callers' turns to do it as well. David, do you want to come in and Kyle said, mate, and then we'll let you go enjoy your Friday night? David? He's still...
Hold on, I'm doing a bridge, man, now.
Do you want to come in and Kyle stayed there, mate, and then we'll let you go enjoy your Friday night?
Yeah, good to hear you, Kyle. Keep phoning.
I will do, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, good points. But I'm not worried about St. Mirren. I've seen St. Mirren. I watched them against St. Johnstone, and they're bang average.
No, they're not great. I agree.
That doesn't solve what we're going through. But I'm more confident we'll do them. And,
I hope so, mate. Because we need to do something.
Because, I mean, the thing is, Kyle, at this moment, I've played 2 league games.
Yeah.
2 European games. It's been rubbish.
Oh, it's been appalling, pal. It's terrible.
Well, I'm a wee bit more optimistic than quite a lot of others. And I think once the dust settles a wee bit, and this is all starting Sunday, if we can go there and give them a good doing, look like a football team, look what we're going to do, I think you might see a reaction. Hopefully.
Yeah, we need to.
So, anyway, guys, thanks for taking my call, Robert, and Big Al, Kyle, Smurf. Take care, everybody.
Take care, man.
And always remember, we are the people. Good night.
Cheers,
Cheers.
David.
Good night, pal.
Smurf, do you want to come in and anything Kyle said there, mate? And anything else you want to say on your point, just before the tune there, mate?
Aye, look, ultimately, Phil's right. We're all singing a same song sheet, unlike the club. I think there's a gulf between the fans and the club that was not really being bridged. You think bringing in a former Rangers player, etc. You think there was going to be, try and unify the fans to the club again. But I just look. It's all kinds of rang. We were optimistic when the new chairman came, or the new ownership group came in, and you're going to have that optimism. They had money to spend, and they have spent it, right? But all I'll say to you, this will sum up all kinds of wrong at Glasgow Rangers.
Oh yeah,
irrespective of your opinion of the man. Look how James Tavernier was treated at the end of last season. The man's needed a testimonial. It was a disgrace.
Yeah,
I'm still embarrassed by it. It is awful. If you brought James Tavernier back in that club today, he's done, and I'm no advocating for it, but he'd be one of the top performers. He'd be one of our most creative.
Oh yeah, definitely. Without his pace, he'd still be our best player, and that says it all.
In terms of getting quality balls into the box or whatever. I'm not saying we should be going backwards and bringing him back, but they've had years to plan that his replacement and identify somebody. Analytics is a tool to be used. It's a tool to be used by football people to recruit. It doesn't do your recruitment for you. And there's all kinds of wrong at the club, and they need to get their finger out. They need Rangers men at every level in that club. No meeting and greeting fans and players' lounges over a beer and all that. They should be the right characters. Your Steve Davises and all that should be working at that training ground in some capacity, or in recruitment, or as scouts or whatever, looking at players and that have been identified and going and watching them and seeing what level they're really at. Because what we've got to do is a shambles. They really have. They've brought players in to replace Raskin in midfield, and they couldn't hold a candle to the boy. And I'm no. Raskin's a cut above him, but he's still not the best player you've ever seen at Rangers. You know what I mean? So there's all kinds of wrong.
Yeah, It's a shambolic mess. Sorry, it really is. It's just awful, and the fact that we're getting worse and worse at the moment is just what is very concerning.
Oh, you're right, Kyle. There's massive concerns there, mate, and it's across the fan base. But I'll bring in Aki. Kyle, just if you don't mind, mate, just when the other guys are talking as well, pal, if you just hold a wee second. And
yeah, sorry, mate. I apologise.
Hold a wee. That's all right, mate. I think I had a wee technical glitch there. If you just hold a wee second, let the guys finish their point. I will come back to you,
Sure.
mate. All right.
Cool.
Aki.
Listen, Smurf, we're on the same hymn sheet as you say, but we don't like what we're watching. I've said before, our eyes don't lie. We've seen it before under previous managers, and you can't, BS the Rangers support. We smell something's no right in there. I don't know what they thought of McInnes absent for the general meeting there at the start of the week. I thought that was, a wee bit suspect. Maybe they were feared of McInnes saying too much and being too honest, and that might have thrown these recruitment team under the bus. But we need to know something. You can't tell us everything's is rosy in the garden when it's apparent that it isn't. And it's all very well the recruitment working hard on bringing certain players in, but these players have got to be in tune with what McInnes' style and setup that he's used to playing at his previous club, and that's the reason why he's at our club in the first place. Jim Gillespie recognised that because of the jobs that he'd done in lesser budget clubs than ourselves, so they're expecting big things. We're currently 9th in the league now, only securing 1 point. That's us 5 points behind the front runners already, and 6 goals behind them as well. So we're on the back foot. We've had a poor result in Europe. We're now looking at potential Conference League. We play a Czech team called Jablonec. I'm not aware of them because I've done the betting across Europe, but I don't think they're any great spots. But we can't look ahead to even St Mirren at the weekend and be confident we're going to beat them. And that's a sorry situation for us. So it's a collective. Everybody's got to be there and on one. And at this moment in time, we don't. I'll not touch on Tavernier, mate. You've probably heard my thoughts on that, so I'll leave it as is for respect of our fox.
No, you're all right, mate. Listen, Kyle, just before, and Smurf as well, just before we went to the tune, I gave you the number of players that we've signed in the last 5 seasons, from season 21, 22 up till now, and it was 67. The number of players that we've put out the club in the same time period is 82. 25 permanent sales, 29 loan deals, and 28 players were released on a free transfer or at the end of their contracts. In the 5 years, we have spent over £100 million, and we've received over £89 million. So there's a deficit of £10 million there. Also, within that 5 year, 2 seconds, Paul. I'll get to you, don't worry.
Cool. Sorry, mate. Sorry.
No, you're okay, mate. In those same 5 years, there has been 8 managers, 7 permanent, 1 temporary, 5 CEOs, 5 chairmen, and only 2 trophies. There's the frustration. Now, when everybody talks about recruitment, it's not been good enough. There's the facts. Kyle, then Smurf.
Yeah, it just sums it all up, mate. All these things you just said, all those facts you just said, just sums up the state of the club at the moment. And it's the biggest problem at the club. And for me personally, I think the entire recruitment team, especially Dan Purdy and fellow Junior, they need to get out. They need to be let go because they contributed to absolutely nothing to this football club since they've been there. You know what I mean? And it's just it's unacceptable. All these things you just read. It's just unacceptable. We should not be in that situation. It's just absolutely appalling. It just shows you how bad the management has been for the last 4 or 5 years. It's horrific. You know what I mean? And the fact is, we've got no creativity in the midfield. There's no width going forward. We don't have a strong defence. There's no leadership in the park. There's no spine in the team. There's just nothing there at the moment, and that's and the fact all that money's been wasted, we've got none of that in the team at all. And I haven't seen that for the last couple of years. I mean, and the way we've declined in Europe as well is just absolutely horrific. I mean, the fact that we were in the quarterfinals 2 seasons ago, and now we can't even qualify for Europa League. I mean, that to me is just horrific downfall. It's unforgivable. It really is. It just sums up the state of us right now.
Smurf, thoughts?
Aye, I mean, what you're saying there is, if I heard you right, is that over 5 years we've had a net spend of 10 million.
Minus
that right?
deficit. Spent 100 and received 89.
Right, so 89 Scotland. So 11 million over 5 seasons. So that's 2.2 million a year we've spent on average in players over 5 seasons. Well, there's why you're not winning stuff, because there's obviously a lack of investment. But there have been fortunes that went out in wages and paying players off, etc., etc. But in all honesty, I felt the most optimistic under Clement and how he was treated. You know, we had no CEO. Basically, him and Neil Coppin were running a club. Having to go to Hampden or that debacle. I mean, how that man was treated was unbelievable. And he still, in Europe, went to Old Trafford and competed with him down there. So, since they dark days, we thought they were low days, and they were. It's just get steadily worse and worse. I thought he was treated shoddily as well. But I don't know the answer going forward. I really don't. I mean, you look what players come in and improved us. Seriously, since last year, what one of our new signings has come in and improved us? Maybe that centre half that we brought in from America. He seems to have done no too bad. And the wee Japanese boy looks as if he gets something about him, but he's not very fit. But then you look at Shankland, and he looks like he is a fat boy for Bellison. He's clearly overweight. He's not fit. It's all kinds of wrong in the club. I don't know any solutions.
When I looked into this a wee bit further, AK, as you know, it's been a major topic, and some of these numbers and figures and whatever, it's been quite an eye-opener, if I'm being honest. And as Smurf says there, when you think about even just the last few transfer windows, which player has come in and improved us, but even when you go back through those 5 years, mate, only 6 players that had came in between season 21-22 until present day, only 6 have been sold for a profit. Igaman, Yefty, Sakala, Antman, believe it or not, Butland and Kieran Dibble, but they were only sold for profits because they were free transfers. 6 players out of a total 25 sales were sold for profit.
It's alarming figures, Rob, and it's stuff that we spoke about for a while, but we didn't know the details on it. You've went to the time we did that research, and kudos to you for doing it, mate, because you're just highlighting stuff that we've said for years with no real evidence apart from we know what we're watching and we can see our team regress in front of us. Kyle picked it up as well. The team that we had to go to a Europa final, and by the way, there were plenty of critics of their teams, you know. Barisic was getting ripped apart with the support in many occasions because his frailties against them rather than his performances in Europe. Big Connor Golston, Hollander, Bassi ended up getting in there. Tavernier had a fantastic season that year in the Europa with his stats. You got your midfield, you'd Kamara, you'd Davis, you'd Big Lundstrom. Lundstrom was getting accused of all sorts before he get punted. Then you're into Kent and Arfield. Morelos was injured by that time. Maribo. They were all critics in our support. And even the manager was getting it as well. So even when we were successful, our standards were still so high that we would slaughter these teams in regular occasions because we knew we were beating better opponents in Europe, but then we would come back to Ross County away or Livingston at home, or, and drop silly points. And Postecoglou, took advantage of the amount of games that we're having to play. He came in windswept. I heard you the other night, Smith, and we were all the same opinion. Who's this guy? And the Celtic support were up arms, and then all of a sudden he goes to his market and he gets in players who he wants, and their board backed him, but he knew what he was bringing in. That's, I think, that we were sold with McInnes. When McInnes is coming into our club, he's going to be bringing his players into our club, and that's where we're not seeing that. We're seeing players for a South African coming from America, a guy from Serbia, Pandur is Croatian, Yokota that plays in second or third division in Germany. They're not McInnes signs, it's obvious. So McInnes, for me, is getting shafted with the recruitment team. We're, as a support, is getting shafted because we're not getting what we signed up for. And Kavanagh is trusting them to give them whatever, the tens of millions it's costing us in transfers and the tens of millions it's costing us in wages. And you look at it, we're sitting ninth in the table after 2 games. People are giving up their season tickets. They're not going on Sunday. They're calling for boycotts. They're calling for banners. And here we go in this cycle of doom again. It needs to stop somewhere, but we need to help ourselves and not keep, what the Clement situation a couple of years ago. That guy was thrown to the wolves with the board, with the players, and eventually chased out with the fans. And you look at him now, he's a far better manager than what we've got now or what preceded him. And the players that we've got now were far better under him. The recruitment in that way, what do you call him, the wee guy?
Niels Coppin.
Niels Coppin.
Niels Coppin. He's a West Ham.
Yes. Aye, thanks, Smurf. He brought in far better players than what we've had the last couple of years under Americans. It needs to stop somewhere. I'm willing to give McInnes a chance. I had my doubts about him because he doesn't exactly have a winning pedigree. He knows a lot about Scottish football. What was his record in Europe with Aberdeen and Kilmarnock and that before? I know it's not he's not got the resources I had at Rangers, but we're giving him the resources, but we're giving him the wrong resources because he's working with players that he's not got a clue what they're what's your assets, kid? What can you give me? How can I use you? He doesn't know. And that's how he keeps chopping and changing. And it just looks shocking now that it's on the park. You want to come in, Smurf or Kyle? Right, Rob, you're stuck.
Yeah. Just think there, like, we've, as you say, they were Niels Coppin, hounded out the club, and what's his face, Philip Clement, again, thrown to the wolves, spinning all sorts of plates. We're going to play Ibrox, no, we're going to Hampden, no, but no, why we are, no, but no, all that nonsense. And he still had a better product apart from what we've got in now. He really did. We've got a double header against St Mirren. We've got Falkirk, Motherwell, Aberdeen before we go to Parkhead. And honestly, see if this doesn't click sharpish, we could be out of a trophy. And by the time, if it all goes wrong when we go to Parkhead, we could be out another trophy at this early in the season. It's dire. It really is. So I think the chairman and the owner really need to get their act together, pronto, and show some real leadership. Because we've heard so many former players and managers say it. We need football people having an influence at the decisions that are being made in the club. It's dead simple. Graham Souness said it many times, if you get good players can play together. That's how you go today, is you buy better players than you've got to now. No squad players, no jersey fillers, The two boys we brought in for Hearts at the end of last season shouldn't be at Rangers. Shankland and Devlin, they should not be at Glasgow Rangers. They're no good enough.
But they were an improvement on last year's guys, though, Smith. That's what I would say. But I'll take this point to yourself, Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
Smith mentioned our striker before, Dessers, another guy who was, you could say, hounded out, but scored 52 goals in 2 seasons. I think his last season he scored 25 or 29, something in that region. We had 3 strikers last year with Chermiti, Naderi and Miovski, who scored 23 between them. There you go, there's your recruitment.
Yeah, I mean, it's come to the point now that I absolutely miss him and Iggerman and Tierney. That's how bad it is. You know what I mean? Because those 3 were scoring, were much better goal scorers by a country mile than what we've had since last year. And that's saying something. And the fact that we spent 40 million quid since those 3 left is criminal. You know what I mean? And I agree what you and Smith have all said about, Clement. I mean, I've always. Do you know what's crazy, right? A year ago, when I was speaking to a couple of other Rangers fans in St Andrews, when I was watching the Rangers one of our games at a pub, do you know what he said to me? A fellow Rangers fan said to me, Kyle, imagine if we gave Philip Clement and Jovan van Bronckhorst 30 million quid to spend. Imagine how much better we would be. And I completely agree with that. And then when he said that, I was like, that just sums it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right, Kyle. I think that's an interesting point to make, because as you say, and Smith's touched on, that Clement and Gio didn't have the backing that we've got nowadays. And it's not about how much money you fling at it, in my opinion, Smith. It's about the level of player you're bringing in. Yes, money talks in this day and age, but when you look at the player that we're bringing in at the moment, the levels have dropped. We can clearly see that. Another observation is clearly the wage budget's been cut. So that also restricts your ability to go and get top quality players. Because if you're trying to cut the wage bill down, you're trying to find a certain level of player. But when you get that level of player, you're not getting the success.
No, of course. And the irony is, there's a dichotomy there that you've got a wage bill being cut, but our net spend's increased because we're spending more on transfer fees than we were. And so to allow you to go and spend these transfer fees, you've got to maybe cut the wage bill. And you know better trying to get quality players under freedom of contract in the last year, and rather than spending it in transfer fees, increase the wages a wee bit. But then if it doesn't work out, you're stuck with them and you can't move them on. It's such a difficult thing to get right. It really, really is. And again, it's why it's imperative that you've got people that know what they're doing at the club. It's as simple as that. I mean, we're going on about Clement. It wasn't even soon as his first pick. It was Frank Lampard, and he's flying now. But people can't work miracles with the investment. We've got a board that's willing to invest. We just need the people behind the scenes that can be trusted with them, do the right things with the money. And we don't appear to have that. We really don't.
Kyle, you mentioned earlier when you came in to the show that obviously we're a Europa League that is gone this season. It's into the Conference League, and you've mentioned about the highs of Seville Europa League final. In the 5 years, mate, I know I keep going back to, but in that 5 years as well, you've been to a Europa League final, in the Champions League group stages, which we know was a disaster. The team wasn't ready for that. That was a complete level above where we were at that time. Again, recruitment never helped. We had James Sands and Leon King at centre-half against Liverpool. Then we've got the round of 16 in Europa League in 23-24. 24-25 we get to the quarter-finals. Last season, the league phase, and obviously now we're playing for a conference. The drop-off has been massive in terms of our ability to reach top European levels again. And you look around the world, there is other teams there who are maybe not as financially strong as we are, who have less income, but somehow they're finding ways to perform in Europe to get through. How can it be possible? This is Rangers we're talking about.
Yeah, it's just. For me, it all goes back to the poor recruitment that's been going on for the last 4 years. That's what I put it on. I mean, it's just absolutely. It's just a complete massive downfall in Europe. You know what I mean? I mean, how can you go from being a quarterfinals 2 seasons ago in Europa League and not be in that competition at all? It's just madness. You know what I mean? And to be honest with you, I'm not even the state that we're in right now. I mean, even though I don't really like the Conference League. I think it's a terrible competition. I don't even think we'll get far in that. You know, being the state we're in currently, and that's saying something. You know what I mean? And it's just, and when I look at the team, I mean, I'll be honest with you, it's one of the worst Rangers teams I've ever seen in my lifetime. I would put it up there with the Paul Gwen side in 2006, and that was a horrible team. That was a dreadful team. The last season and this season are right up there for me. Just absolutely garbage. You know, just no heart, no fight, no pride in that team. And most of these players, I like to see the back of them, to be honest. I know we can't get rid of them all, obviously, but I would not even be bothered if most of them left tomorrow. I mean, it's just disgraceful. They're not even fit to wear the shirt, as far as I'm concerned, mate. And I just think Derek, you know, he is a good manager, but I'm just not sure he's the level that we need. You know what I mean? I think he's good enough to manage a team like Hearts and Kilmarnock and Aberdeen. But for us, I don't know, mate. I have my doubts. I mean, I want us to give him time, but if this keeps carrying on, like what Smith was saying, up until the Old Firm, it's done. You know, there's no turning back. You got to make a decision. And the fact that we're in this situation again is just terrible. And I honestly, Andrew Kavanagh needs to have a look at himself in the mirror and ask himself, what can I do to make an improvement here? Because what is going on right now is not good enough. It's just disgraceful. And for me, the sooner we get that recruitment team sorted out, the better. But I'll be honest with you, when I look at the state of us we are right now, I remember we were in an absolute shambolic mess when Paul Gwen was there, and that was dreadful, right? Look how long it took Walter Smith to fix that mess up. It took him about 2 years. When Gerrard came in 2018, it took him 3 years. I reckon if it's Derek or some other manager, right, that tries to fix this, it's going to take him about 2-3 years, in my opinion. I know a lot of fans don't hear that. I don't like hearing it either. But this is a long-term fix, whether I like it or not, and that is a sad reality.
AK, Kyle makes an interesting point about, and you've touched on as well in the show, the squad and team that a manager coming into the job inherits. A question, I'll go to you, AK, then Smith, and then Kyle. Yes or no? Has Derek McInnes inherited a worse squad than when Gerrard came in?
Yes, and I'll give you the reasons for that because we spoke about it before, but I already knew this anyway. When Gerrard came in, he already had Alan McGregor in the building. His signature was secured. He already had Scott Arfield in the building. He'd already Ryan Jack. He'd already a young James Tavernier, Daniel Candeias and Alfredo Morelos. So he had something to work on. This is a shambles that he's walked into. But by the way, Danny Rowe with a shambles. He walked into last year and he managed to get a tune out of it. I appreciate what you're saying, Kyle. It could take 2 to 3 years, but it could, see if you get your recruitment right, it could just take that one season. Postecoglou done it with them, and Hearts were cheated out of a title last year, who finished bottom 6 the year before. The keys recruitment, we're all saying it, we're all on the same hymn sheet, and it's pointing directly at us. That is the issue there, and we need to get that sorted. So whether people, Kavanagh needs to boot some bums again. Jamie Martin, I don't know if you know him, but I heard him in a podcast there a few weeks ago. I don't know whether there's any truth in this, but he was quite authoritative when he said it. He was in Rangers director room, blue room, whatever, and he heard advice given to Andrew Kavanagh to sack the lot of them and bring in Souness with Davy Weir, and he chose to bring in the guy Stig and keep Thelwell Jr. and Dan Purdy.
Wow. Smurf, same question, and then if you want to go on Alex.
No, so look, just what's been said, the squad Gerrard inherited absolutely was a better squad, and it needed tweaked, and it needed confidence put into it, and the club needed standards lifting all over, and that's where we're sort of at again. There's a lack of quality right through the team, and there's easy fixes out there. I don't like the sort of SPL or Scottish Premiership centric view of we'll hoover up the best talent in the league. Most of these guys have never won anything, and the league. What we successful Rangers teams have done that in the past, but the quality of the league was far higher then. We're getting a higher standard of player. But I don't see it how that gets to success, and I don't think going to an English Championship makes any fiscal sense either. You're bringing in what I can see is bang average players on overinflated sort of transfer fees and wages. You know, it really is. Just calling it to see it. I don't really know a way forward other than what I've said. Just keep everything simple, stupid. Just bring Rangers men in behind the scenes and go for there and try and shop in different markets.
That's it. You've got to try and look to different places, and you might find a gem. You might find a young signing or a cheap signing that suddenly becomes a good hit. Morelos was signed for £1 million, becomes a European top goal scorer for the club. Nobody knew anything about him. He had his issues, but he caused a lot of problems and scored us a lot of goals. But again, somebody that's from out with the UK market, cheap, done a job, and that's how sometimes you can do it. And we should have cashed in on him, and we didn't. And again, that's a fault. But Kyle, same question to yourself, mate. And if you want to come in on AK's point about the potential that Souness and David Weir were given as an option or advice.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That squad that Gerrard came into inherited was definitely better because what AK was saying about he brought back Al McGregor and Stephen Davis, and you already had Morelos and Tavernier and Ryan Jack, and also Daniel Candeias was still there. So look how much. I mean, I know it took us about 3 years to win the league, but look how much better we were. You know what I mean? When Gerrard came in, it was like night and day. But to be fair, Walter Smith did the same when he came back in January 2007. It took him a while, but in his first look at what he did in his first summer, like brought in players like Beasley and Naismith and Thompson and Boguera, all players like that. Well, he didn't bring Boguera until 2009, but you get what I'm saying. Like, look at all the players that he brought in and improved us so quickly. And Gerrard was the same. The players that he brought in. I mean, mind you, some of the players that Gerrard brought in weren't great, but the other players that he brought in later on just improved us very quickly. And also about the Jamie Martin, yeah, I know him. I absolutely love the podcast he does with Derek Ferguson and Charlie Miller, and all of them were saying that David Weir should be director of football, and I could not agree with them more. Because David Weir, in my opinion, I'll be honest with you, I would put David Weir up there with Richard Gough and Amoruso as one of the best captains we ever had in my lifetime. I really do, honestly. He was bloody fantastic. And imagine having somebody like that with that knowledge and that leadership in upstairs as a football director. I mean, I think it'll make a huge difference, and that's what we lack now. We just got a bunch of frauds and chancers that are just running the show and bringing us to the ground. And it's and Jamie Martin said that. What was the Rangers podcast I listened to? What was it called? He was a guest on it. Oh, hands across the water, and he keeps repeating. He said the same things that he said last season with Charlie Miller and Derek Ferguson, and a year later we're still having the same problems now, but worse. And it's just. And I agree with AK. If you get the recruitment right and you get the and the sporting director, and it might be it'll take a year. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it won't take 2 or 3 years. I hope he's right, because but the mess we're in right now. I mean, mind you, to be honest with you, I remember when back in 2007 when Paul Gwen left us in an absolute shambles. I thought it was going to take 3 years for us to get it sorted, but when Walter came back, well, McCloist, it only took him just about 2 years. So maybe it might be the same here, hopefully. But yeah, I mean, the fact that Jamie Martin, his advice wasn't taken by Kavanagh, I mean, that just sums it up right there, and it doesn't surprise me whatsoever, because I've been wanting us to get David Leon in for a while, because we need somebody that knows the club and knows how to win and has tons of medals, because he at the club, and and is an absolute legend and icon at the club, to be there, because they know what it takes to be winners again. And I've said this for the last 4 years too. We don't have a winning culture anymore. We don't. It's gone. Since after 55, or you could argue after we got to Youth League final, the winning culture is not there anymore, mate. It's just gone. There's just nothing. It's a soulless, empty, club with just losers running us to the ground. And I know that's a very harsh thing to say, but that's how I feel.
No, you can only say how you feel, mate. That's the thing. And as you say, that culture's changed. Kavanagh mentioned it on Monday. The clubs get used to finishing second. And last season we didn't even finish second. But you're right about the culture. But we're going to turn our attention, obviously, onto Sunday. And the information that we've discussed tonight, we'll put it up in the Facebook feed after the show, so you can have a look and a read through it as well. But it's a bit of an eye-opener as well. But last 15 minutes of the show, if anybody wants to join us, it's 0141 356 1972. AK, looking ahead to Sunday, St Mirren, League Cup, Ibrox. How are you thinking it's going to go, and have you got a team?
Just put all the boys in a basket and get the tombola, just spin it about. That seems to be how the team's coming out. I really don't know. Normally I kind of try and think of one and second guess our manager, but I see the team that started 3-5-2. I think he might go that way and just stick with that, because obviously the personnel that he's going to pick for, he's missing Godfrey, he's missing Roman, so that's a major blow for him. And he's got a squad full of midfielders. Utilise them as best as they can and just try and get some sort of formation there that can go out and get us a win. It's going to be difficult. It's because we're making it difficult that opponents are coming to Ibrox, and Barry Ferguson touched on it. You want teams to come to Ibrox and fear coming to Ibrox. St Mirren will be coming to Ibrox. We've got a chance here. You silence that crowd, you turn that crowd, and the anxiety fills onto the park. So we've got a part to play as well. Try and stick with the team. I know it's hard, but everybody that's going to the game on Sunday, try and stick with the team, get behind them, and let's see if the players can grow a bit, because it's an opportunity to win a trophy at the end of the day. You think back to Souness early days, guys. Don't know what ages you are, certainly Rob, you wouldn't, but he didn't have the greatest of starts in his early tenure at Rangers. But you know what? He got a win against Celtic. He won the League Cup, and that turned everything around for him. People started to have belief and faith in what he was doing. Albeit with a far better calibre of player back then, but you need something to spark to change it around. So I'll be there on Sunday and I'll be cheering them on. All this booing and banners and calling for boycotts, it doesn't work. No for me. People argue otherwise. Well, that's what they do when things started going wrong. That's them. They're just self-entitled people who don't think they should have a challenge over anybody. It's our players that need to go out there and prove to our manager that they should be wearing our jersey, but we stick with our team. We don't do walking away.
Smurf.
Aye, that was a bit Churchillian. Well said that, man. Aye. Ultimately, we've just got to turn up, give it a go. everybody get behind the team, and hopefully we can turn it. And Derek can get a tune out of them. And it's another step to fitness for some players, and relationships getting forged, and get a bit of cohesion in the team. It'll be amazing what a win will do for this group of players, and hopefully after that they'll show a better version of themselves going forward. Because if they don't, we're in stuck. It's a big ask of the fans. It really, really is.
Would you go 3-5-2 Smith on Sunday?
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't do that. I think with the group of players he'd go, Derek will do anything to go 4-4-2. But with this group of players, I would be going 4-2-3-1. That would be my favourite formation. There's no lot of creativity, so you've got to try and construct a team where you get Asgard in a number 10 role, and he's two wingers into the team, providing a bit of width and creativity for the wide areas. Because we don't have strikers that can make something out of nothing, and the midfielders that we've got, they're all much of a muchness. There's no real creativity in the midfield either. So Asgard, I'm afraid to say, in a number 10 role is essential. And as I say, two wingers. I'd like to see if Asgard doesn't turn up. I'd like to see that wee boy that we brought in for Dundee. I don't think he's got any long-term future at Rangers, but he's a tidy wee player. And given the situation we're in, I'd quite like to see him getting a run out and all, getting some game time,
It's going to be an interesting one how he sets it up with Kyle, because he's got to go and win the game as well. But usually you would give him a chance at this kind of game. It's a League Cup game, you would rotate the squad, but with that pressure, he's got to get the team sheet right as well, starting the game.
Oh yeah, 100%, and I agree with everything that Smith said. I would go with that as well, and that's another thing that sums up recruitment. I mean, I've got no doubt Lyle Cameron's a good footballer, but what was the point in buying him? Because we've given absolutely no opportunities to him whatsoever since he's brought into the club last year, and I feel sorry for the boy. And I'll tell you something, I wouldn't be surprised if the rumours are true that Conor Barron wants to leave and go to Italy. I wouldn't blame him. You know what I mean?
There's certainly some mention of some teams involved or interested in him, but whether that comes to fruition, only time will tell, mate.
I'll tell you another thing that's funny. There was one rumour that I read about. Now, don't get me wrong, I like Manny Fernandez, but there's no denying that he's been absolutely atrocious since the start of the season so far, which is a real shame because he was one of our best players last season. Do you know what was funny? I read that Arsenal were interested in him. Can you imagine Arteta reacting to his bad defending recently? Oh, goodness me. I wouldn't like to be facing Arteta in the dressing room, I tell you that, defending like that. Jesus. I mean, goodness me. I think the links, because he's been linked to Arsenal, he's linked to Leverkusen. I wouldn't be surprised if it's turned his head, and I think that's probably why he obviously thinks he's one of these players that thinks he's too good, and all of a sudden he's just completely lost his concentration and his focus. And it's so frustrating because we all know he can be a good defender, but at the start of the season so far, he just doesn't look like himself at all. And I think we need to get a convincing win, but I don't think it's going to be easy. I agree with the other guy. I can't remember his name. Was it David that was on that spoke on here? Was that his name?
Aye, old Davy. He was on there.
Yeah, and he was saying that St Mirren are bad average, and I totally agree with that. But we have St Mirren have been a bogey team to us for quite a while now, so it's not going to be easy.
2 seconds, Kyle. Yep. Martin, if you're there, mate, stick yourself on mute. I'll come straight back to you.
Listen, troops, I'm just going to interrupt you there. I'm going to go. It's been great having me. Thank you, and good night all.
Cheers, Smith. Enjoy your weekend, pal. Good to hear from you as always. Sorry, Kyle, carry on, mate, and then we'll go to Martin.
Cool. I just think it's going to be a tricky game. I think it'll be. I think we've got to defend properly because see the goals that we conceded. Just this schoolboy pub team stuff, mate. Really, really poor. And I'll go back to that again for the last 4 years. I know I keep going 4 years, but that defence has been like that every year now.
You're right, mate. There's fragility within that back
Oh,
line.
yeah.
It's been there for a number of
Yeah,
seasons.
lack of leadership, lack of spine, like I've been saying, and it's never been sorted out, and that sums up the recruitment as well. And then it's just the facts that you stated early on about how much money we spent and all that. The fact all that money's been spent in the last 4 or 5 years, and there's no spine and leadership. It's just absolutely criminal.
No, you're right, mate. I think Martin, thanks for phoning in, mate. How you doing?
I'm good, Ty. How are you?
Not too bad, mate. I feel a wee bit better than I did last night after the game. That's for sure, but not fully 100% better yet. What's on your mind, mate?
Okay, just very poor last night. Just not the races, really, to be honest. At that level, we should be stepping up and putting a performance in. It was very disappointing.
It is, mate. It is indeed, mate. I'll go to AK. AK, Martin said it was a very disappointing night, but it's something we became accustomed to, which is not a nice feeling or a nice thing to say.
No, of course. How's my good pal Martin doing? How you doing, big man?
I'm good, pal. Hope you're good.
Good. Aye. Listen, another bad night at the office. No, the start to the season we wanted, Big Ian, but I'm sure your dad will have plenty to say about the strikers and the service or the lack of service that they're getting. Listen, they've got to play as a team, Big Ian, you know that. Your dad would tell you that. If areas of the team aren't working, frailties is going to be there. The fact that we've not scored a goal, open play for the strike force for the start of the season. It's only Asgard that scored. Shanklin scored penalties, but our lack of goal return for shots ratio isn't great. So there's a lot of issues with the team, and it's a culmination of a lot of things, but it's no good in the eye, I'm afraid, and results aren't what Derek wanted to start the season either, pal.
No, it's been a hard start for the manager, and I really thought when he came in, he's a good manager. He's got a track record, and he was going to make a big difference. And it's difficult. It's not an easy job, and Rangers, I mean, different to when I was growing up. The turnaround every summer and every year now as well, the turnaround is just ridiculous amount of players. There's no core of the team, which I think when years gone by that we've always relied on a core of the team, and you keep turning around all these players. It doesn't matter how good they are. I mean, they don't even know who, they don't know each other's strengths, how they play, if you're changing that many players, and I don't think he knows his best team yet as well. So it's a very difficult situation to be in.
It's a lot harder, Martin, when the transfer window's still open and he's not got all the players in that he wants as yet, and it's hard to find that winning formation or winning starting 11, or even a good settled starting 11 until the window's shut. We don't know who's going to be there come the 3rd of September is when the window closes, so we've still got 20 days of transfer speculation and a lot of movement. Kyle, just before we wrap up the show, mate, thanks for joining us and taking your time to give us a call. Your final points, mate?
I think we'll win on Sunday, but I don't think it's going to be easy at all. I think it's going to be a very hard game. I'm going to go with 2-1. But I don't think it's going to be a good game at all.
I don't care if it's messy, ugly, or beautiful. I'll just take a win. That's the main thing, mate.
It's just like Walter Smith just said. The late great Walter Smith would always say, "Just win."
That's it, mate.
You know what I mean, and go from there. Anyway, guys, thank you for being on the show. It was a pleasure being on here again. And let's hope we get the win on Sunday and start from there, and hopefully get the recruitment sorted out to start off, because what's going on, like I said before, what's going on at our club right now is unacceptable, and it can't carry on. Simple as that.
Exactly. Yeah, mate. Thanks for taking the time. Always a pleasure. You can phone in
Take care.
anytime.
Thank you.
Cheers. Take care.
Cool. Bye.
Thanks, Kyle.
AK.
No, it's exactly what Kyle said. It's just win, no matter how you do it. It'll not be pretty. We're not playing pretty football, and we're not even playing winning football. So Derek McInnes badly needs that win, but he needs the players to come on side with him. He needs them to come on board with him. There may well be some fractions in the dressing room, and new players and players that's been there a few years, but we've underperformed as a club, as a team, and that's resulted in 3 managers in a year. So there should be alarm bells in the dressing room with the kind of old guard that's left there as it is, and it's not exactly an old guard. I mean, Tavernier's longevity to him kept him as that, but I think probably Raskin's your most experienced player in there now. He went 3, 4, 5 seasons there. So it's a new team, but we need to win. That's that bottom line, mate.
It's interesting you say that about longevity. When I was doing that research, mate, surprisingly, the longest serving player that's currently still on the books, although not been seen for a few weeks, is John Souttar. Then it's Nico Raskin and Dujon Sterling. Everybody else has either came and gone or been more recent. In the last 5 years, we've got 3 players that have been here longer. Martin?
No, I agree. I mean, it's the turnaround's been amazing. It's just frightening how many players that have been there and away, and which isn't a good thing, I don't think. And it's hard for the new manager because he's expected to hit the ground running, and he's not. But I think it's easy to say, but I think he's got to have time because we can't keep. That's another thing we can't. We're going through players, but we can't keep going through managers as well. Because where does it end? He's got to be given time, in my opinion. But it's as you know, the fans are no just as patient as maybe we should be at times. We all want success, obviously, and we want it yesterday. But it's just not as easy a task as that, I don't think.
This is one of the hardest things, AK, isn't it? In football, was getting players in. Harder to get them out, but we know how transfers work. You can have a list of targets, and if you don't get them, you've got to go back to the drawing board and try and get option B or option C. And sometimes we're looking at option D.
It's been discussed. I think it was Gary that said the other night as well, the bloated squad that he's got to work with. I mean, a manager ideally is working with a squad of 25 players, something like that. I think we're in excess of about 30 odd players, you know, and it's just it's impossible to put on training sessions and things like that because there's players there that's in the building that has got no chance of first team football, and we're trying to move these guys on. You mentioned John Souttar there, still on our books. He's been doing it at Leicester for God knows how long. You know, it's trying to move things along to get players off the wage bill, see if we can get a transfer fee, and then we can recycle it back into the team. Martin, there's an awful lot of background coming for you, mate. You put yourself on mute if you're not speaking. Put yourself on mute if you're not speaking, please. Good man.
Oh, sorry, Paul. I agree with you, Alec, but it's hard for the manager as well he doesn't know who's going, who they're getting an offer for. Then you get a couple of injuries as well, which we've got. So it's a very difficult time for a manager. Is somebody coming in for a player and taking him away? Have we got cover for injured players, which is unforeseen? So it's a very difficult situation to be in.
Here's something I'll put to the two of you, Martin and Rob. See, on the back of the Chermiti injury, 22 million. Galatasaray meant to have bid for him. We were hoping for more than that, obviously, but that's him out now. Raskin, would you play him, or would you just sit him out there until we get him out the building? Because See, every time he plays, that's £20 million you're risking.
Oh,
Well, I think there's players being signed in that position, so I agree with you. It is a big risk, and it went wrong with Chimiti. So, in hindsight, should he have played, or so you're right, and we've lost it before with other players that should have went and we never got money for. So it's a valid question. And it's not an easy decision to make.
tough question, AK. I'll give you Martin, it's a tough question because, as I said earlier, there's people out there who think that Raskin is a level above the players we've brought in. It might be easy to say that because we've not seen a lot of all of them. Dragicevic, as we touched on at the start of the show, a guy who's brought in is that in that position for a good bit of money. Young, but got a lot of experience and was a captain at Belgrade. I'd be tempted to try and protect the assets, mate. Particularly dropping into the Conference League, I'd be tempted to protect an asset that you could sell for the financial benefit. If Raskin is a guy who's going to help the team win on Sunday, starting, I understand that as well. But when you're looking to reinvest in the squad, trying to refresh in the midfield, if you're planned without Raskin, you've got to play without Raskin to see how it's going to go. Because if you don't, then you're going to be left when the time comes that it does go, you're back to the drawing board to try and fill a gap yet again. So that is a big gamble, and we've seen the gamble never paid off with Chimiti. I'll be honest, I was surprised to see him in that squad that day, given the noise and speculation and the bid came in. I thought they would have put him out because the likelihood is there would have been a second bid and it would have been upwards of closer to 25 million. And I don't think you can say no to that. But hindsight's a great thing, AK.
It's fair answers, the two you gave, and I don't think there is a right answer. But certainly when you see the risk is worth the reward, knowing the guy gets injured, but you could get injured in training. These things happen. It's unfortunate for Chimiti first and foremost, but it's really unlucky for the club that we can't sell that player and then reinvest in the squad. But these are decisions for the manager and for the above the manager to make. But there's no right answer there. But I would just like to see Raskin out the building. If we're intending on selling him, you need him out the building as soon as, just so as you can maybe go and get that bit of quality to bring in either his position or a centre back or a left back or elsewhere, striker, somewhere in the team. It's all very well filling your team with £3-4 million players. Sounds a lot of money, and collectively it is a lot of money. But the difference makers now in today's market, you're talking upwards of at least 10 million now, aren't you? So, but it's a risk that McInnes is going to work out for the team.
Martin, we're just going to wrap up the show, mate. I appreciate taking the time to phone us. Phone earlier the next time. Be good to have a longer chat with you, pal.
No problem, I will do. Enjoyed your chat, and hopefully we can only go onward and upward for the rest of the season.
Surely, mate. Surely. Fingers crossed and legs crossed and everything else.
Take care, lads. I enjoyed the chat.
Cheers,
Top
Martin.
man, Martin. Thanks, Phil.
AK, as we've touched on, mate, Sunday's massive. Score prediction from yourself if you can, and your final words.
I've been this road before with you. No. Just win. If it's 1-0, if it's 2-1, 2-0, it doesn't matter. Just win and try and kickstart this season for us. But great show tonight, Rob. As I say, kudos to you for going to the lengths of the stuff you delved into there, and I'm sure it's an interesting read when you put it up for the rest of our listeners. Hope everybody enjoyed it, and thanks to our callers and the techie team for tonight, and we look forward to the game on Sunday. We brush ourselves down, we dust ourselves off again, and we go again, pick ourselves up, because we are Rangers, we are the people.
Yeah. Cheers, mate. Appreciate it. Can I say a big massive thanks to All Davy? I better put the all in there before he shouts at me again for not using it. All Davy, Smurf, Kyle, and Martin there at the end joining us tonight here in Rangers Radio. AK for doing the show with me, Fox and Old School Blue in the background, and of course everybody that's tuned in listening to the show tonight. As AK said, we'll post that information we discussed tonight on the page. It is an interesting read and a bit of an eye-opener. Keep an eye on our social media for any updates of our next show. Again, there's a lot of Bears at the game on Sunday supporting the team and trying to get them to a victory. So keep an eye on socials for any information for our next show. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the rest of your Friday night and your weekend. Take it away, Old School Blue.